Chapter 6, Clashes and Discoveries, a few weeks later. The midday sun hung high above Iron Root Martial School, casting harsh rays across the stone courtyards and tiled rooftops. In the southern courtyard, the clang of fists against training dummies echoed like drums of war. Kong Tian stood shirtless, sweat glistening across his defined frame as he completed another round of the profound fist technique. His strikes were clean, powerful, and sharp, each punch flowing with internal rhythm. He breathed through his lower dantian, rotated his hips at precise angles, and aligned each strike with meridian nodes for maximum output. These were not the wild blows of a brawler, but the carefully honed techniques of a martial savant. From a shaded corner, a group of older students observed him with cold eyes. Jealousy boiled in their chests, their pride wounded after being overshadowed by someone who wore tattered robes and came from a nameless background. "That damn peasant," one of them spat. "Who does he think he is, showing us up like that?" The leader of the group, Yuan Fei, son of the influential Yuan family, cracked his knuckles. Like his lackeys, he wasn't from the current class. He and his gang had enrolled the year before and were already in the 5th to 8th stages of body tempering, each with some battle experience under their belts. "He thinks lighting up the 9th totem tier makes him special?" Yuan Fei scoffed. "Time to teach him the difference between genius and experience." As Kong Tian moved to the stone well to cool off, the 5 older boys surrounded him. "You've been showing off too much, Kong Tian," Yuan Fei sneered. "Time to learn your place." Kong Tian's eyes narrowed. He set his bucket down slowly. "Learn? What qualifications does Trash have to instruct me? Get him!" Yuan Fei barked, flushed with embarrassment. The first strike came from the right, a sharp jab aimed at his ribs. But Kong Tian pivoted, shifting into a low stance, letting the blow skim past his side. He seized the attacker's wrist, twisted, and redirected the energy, sending the boy flying. Another charged from behind, but Kong Tian sensed the footfall vibrations through the ground, a trick he'd learned from observing mortal beasts. He ducked under the hook and delivered a palm strike to the man's abdomen, using soft force to rupture internal flow rather than brute power. The attacker coughed up blood and crumpled. A third came with a sweep kick. Kong Tian countered with a spiral pivot of his waist, maintaining centerline balance. His leg snapped out in a whip kick that struck the hinge of the attacker's jaw, knocking him out cold. The final 2, Yuan Fei and another boy, charged together. "You'll regret this, mongrel!" Yuan Fei led, with an overhead punch imbued with heavy qi, aiming to break bones. But Kong Tian's foot slid across the dirt at the last second, adjusting his angle to deflect the force. He let the punch graze his shoulder and countered with a rising elbow to Yuan Fei's chin, then a straight-line punch, using the 1-inch burst technique from the profound fist style. It was too fast to follow. Yuan Fei's head snapped back, blood spraying. He stumbled, staggered, and fell to one knee. The courtyard went silent. Head instructor Fang Duan arrived, arms folded. He surveyed the scene, bruised bodies, cracked stone, Yuan Fei groaning in the dirt. "Interesting," he muttered. 5 seniors, taken down by a single junior." Kong Tian wiped blood from his lip. "They attacked first." Fang Duan nodded. "That they did. Still, next time, try not to make such a mess." He turned and walked away, his voice drifting back. "Good form, though." Bruised and breathless, Yuan Fei wiped his lip and spat blood on the stones. "You'll regret this. Just wait." They picked up their unconscious brothers and fled. Southern courtyard. Balcony. Lady Bai had witnessed the earlier battle from the upper balcony, unmoving. Beside her, Li Chan-chan fanned herself with a lace fan, frowning. Why does he wear rags like that? Does he not know what robes are? Lady Bai glanced sideways in confusion. He's poor, Chan-Chan. Likely orphaned, or worse. Oh, Chan-Chan said with real confusion. But don't they know how ridiculous they look? Of all the clothes they can wear in the world, they chose those rags? Her question was innocent and filled with pure bewilderment. Being raised in a powerful, secluded clan meant the concept of poverty had never been taught to her. Attendant Gu, please find clothes fitting this young lady's standards for those two. Oh? You mean those youngsters from the entrance exam the other day? Steward Gu gazed at Kong Tian from the window with intrigue before his figure slowly disappeared before the eyes of Chan Chan and Bai Yuyin. Still, her gaze lingered on Kong Tian as he helped a bruised student to his feet, the same one who mocked him days ago. Strange, she murmured. He doesn't act like a brute. Back at the training courtyard, a frail youth could be seen walking with the support of his cane, eyes filled with concern and worry. Big Brother Tian, are you okay? Kong Tian smiled reassuringly. Those losers thought they could beat my 9th-level body-tempering cultivation using numbers, but I wanted them to engrave in their hearts that not only is my cultivation above theirs, but so are my combat standards. Minga, he said in a serious tone. Minga's eyes showed a hint of nervousness at the tone shift. I think you should spend the training period in the Knowledge Pavilion. Aren't you a fan of those dusty books? Kong Ming pouted. You're trying to ditch me. Kong Tian smirked and ruffled his brother's hair. No, I just don't want you dragged into my mess. Not yet. Kong Ming sighed, but nodded. He understood. Right now, it's better you don't get involved in fights concerning me. For now. And so, Kong Ming obeyed and headed to the Knowledge Pavilion. The Knowledge Pavilion at Iron Root Martial School. Kong Ming entered the Knowledge Pavilion through the large, creaking wooden doors. The room was filled with the smell of old paper, ink, and wood. An elder in a meditative state could be seen sitting in the central area. Kong Ming decided not to disturb him. There was an open area in the middle where the sunlight shone down on a small pond. 2 benches provided seating for those who wanted a serene atmosphere to read and cultivate. He awkwardly strolled through the shelves until a gold-colored ancient book grabbed his attention. It was placed remotely in a corner of the shelf, seemingly untouched for years. He reached out and pulled the book free, reading the title, Ancient Medicinal Refinement Record. For some reason, Kong Ming felt called by this book. He sat down and began reading it. This can't be. His breath quickened. The book held remedies that seemed to cover everything, from common to rare ailments that cultivators suffered. Heart pounding, he flipped through it. There it was, a condition describing blocked meridians, weak bones, unstable energy pathways, similar to his. More importantly, it listed herbs and spiritual roots that might stimulate dormant meridians and rebuild the body's core. This medicinal book's information regarding herbs and uses might be what helps me break through this physical bottleneck. What's a profound book like this doing in such a remote town? He questioned inwardly. Hours passed without notice. A scholarly youth with long, neat hair in a ponytail and a handsome face came walking into the Knowledge Pavilion. He wore expensive robes, bearing the emblem of the Chen clan's main branch. His cool, aloof eyes landed on a young man with black hair and silver eyes, immersed in uncovering the truth behind the heavens. Isn't that, the scholar murmured. Kong Ming. The name appeared in his head. This youth never seemed quite as simple as others made him out to be. He began walking toward the boy, curious what kind of book had him so captivated. He hadn't even noticed his presence. Once the scholarly youth came within arm's length, the black-haired, silver-eyed youth slowly looked up. Chen Kai, he thought inwardly. This was the genius young master of the Chen clan, who ranked only second to his freakish brother in the strength test and higher than me in the knowledge exam. He glanced at the book in Chen Kai's hand. Silent Fist Technique. You should stop using that technique, Kongming said. Chen Kai froze, stunned by his sudden words. A moment of silence. That technique creates a physical chi blockage at the meridian in your left shoulder. Excessive use can cause long-term damage to the chi channels from your shoulder to your fist, Kongming continued, returning his gaze to the medical book. Chen Kai glanced at the technique book in his hands. You study fist techniques? Chen Kai asked in astonishment. From his observations, Kongming's body looks like that of someone who hasn't spent a single day practicing a martial technique. Kongming shook his head. Not exactly. I do have an understanding of martial Dao and cultivation Dao, but I'm best at understanding meridian flow and seeing imbalances of the body. Chen Kai's eyes widened in astonishment. Interesting, he responded calmly. He began to walk away. Kongming spoke up. Your left arm. It's paler than your right, signaling a difference in blood flow and qi circulation. I'm sure you've felt discomfort in that shoulder when practicing the silent fist technique. Chen Kai cracked a rarely seen smile. I've underestimated you, junior brother Kong. The way Chen Kai addressed him became more respectful. I haven't found a technique that's truly worthy of my talent. He sighed. Whether it's the Chen clan or the basic techniques here at the school, they are all too simple. Chen Kai stared into Kongming's eyes, as if trying to probe his secrets. Does junior brother have any suggestions? Kongming ignored Chen Kai's gaze and continued reading his book. A moment of silence. Kongming sighed and said, Your body structure is built more for speed rather than power. But your muscles reflect that you had a balanced training regimen up until now. Since when did teaching fish to fly and birds to swim become a worthwhile endeavor? Chen Kai seriously pondered Kongming's words. Is he really 11 years old? He thought inwardly. He then responded in a lofty tone, I strive to stand at the apex of geniuses of the new generation, and as an apex cultivator, I strive to be superior in all aspects. Kongming did not respond. Chen Kai sat down across from him, after a moment of silence. He spoke as if he were talking to himself. Do you blame the heavens for giving you such a body? Do you have thoughts like, why isn't the world fair? If only my body could be useful. Kongming's brows twitched and stared at the youth in annoyance. Chen Kai really thinks he understands what I've been through? Kongming snorted inwardly, seeing the slight change in Kongming's expression. Chen Kai smiled. You're probably thinking that I don't understand your life, or what you've been through. He threw the book in his hand, and it perfectly landed back in the crevice of the bookshelf. Does understanding why we kill demon beasts stop you from eating them? Do we need to understand why demon beasts annihilate humans? Does understanding the river stop it from flowing? Does understanding the sun stop it from rising? Do we need to understand why someone strong suppresses the weak? The seven heavens are ruled by one principle. The strong controls fate. The Tao is in motion before we even step. So why question the rising sun? It's a futile endeavor. Chen Kai paused, tightening his fist. Instead, the worthwhile questions are, where does strength come from? And how can I obtain it? Chen Kai paused as he watched Kong Ming ponder his words. He began to walk away. All strength comes from struggle. If it's not you, it was someone before you. Even those born with strength were given it from an ancestor who had struggled to earn that strength. Then, that reward is passed down for the future generation to climb higher. Unfortunately, many don't climb higher and mistake the merit of their ancestors for their own. No matter how much you curse, complain, there's no escaping the struggle if you truly desire to control your fate. The heavens do not love the weak. The heavens favor the strong, the resilient, whether it's a demon beast, cultivator, or even a plant. The ones that persevere until the end reap the rewards. That is the will of heaven. Only the truly qualified deserve to truly stand at the peak. You may hate your struggle, but that means you must hate strength. Why would the heavens grant you something you outwardly rejected? So ask yourself, do you truly desire strength? If you do, confront your struggle directly, respect it, embrace it. Chen Kai left with those final words. Kong Ming stared at the youth's departing back. What a strange guy, Kong. That evening, Instructor's Hall. The atmosphere inside the instructor's hall was tense. Fang Duan stood at the head of the room, arms crossed, while representatives of the three great families, Chen, Bai, and Fang, spoke in veiled tones. Talent, like the Kong boy, should not go untethered, said Elder Chen, his scholarly gaze sharp. The Chen clan is ready to offer him a full scholarship and personal tutelage. We of the Bai clan can offer spiritual stones, techniques, and a private cultivation courtyard, Lady Bai's uncle added smoothly. It's only natural to guide the talented into proper homes. The Fang representative leaned forward, tone laced with warning. And if his path is poorly guided, he may find his journey difficult. Fang Duan's brow furrowed. So long as they remain students of Iron Root Martial School, I will not allow anyone to coerce them, even members of my own clan. Don't think I've forgotten about the assassination attempts on my son, Fang Longwei, 2 years ago. You old foxes always covet the talented and cripple them if they refuse to become your tools. The Fang representative's eyebrows twitched. Brother Duan, our Fang clan had the utmost support for your son. We even considered making the successor to the patriarch. Why would we assassinate him? Fang Duan laughed menacingly. Act coy all you want. The only reason I didn't create a bloodbath in the clan that day was because of my son. He didn't want me completely falling out with the clan, but trust me, one day I'll bring you old fellows' schemes into the light. His aura surged. Lady Bai's uncle narrowed his eyes at the Fang clan representatives. You misunderstand. We at the Bai clan merely offer an opportunity. Surely you wouldn't stand in the way of a brighter future. I believe students should walk their own path, Fang Duan replied, voice like iron. If the boy chooses you, so be it. But if you try to take him... His killing intent stirred slightly. The room cooled. Silence fell. Then Elder Chen smiled thinly. We understand. Let us hope the boy is wise. Nighttime. At the stream by the old courtyard, Kong Ming waited until his brother's steady breathing signaled sleep. Then he slipped from bed and crept to the stream behind the courtyard. Kneeling at the bank, he looked into his reflection. He clenched his fists, remembering every insult and every time Kong Tian bled for him. Chen Kai's voice echoed in his ears. Only the strong can control fate. Kong Ming's eyes shone with greater resolve. Standing by him isn't enough. I want to be the one who protects him. And so he began the breathing and body-refining techniques he had discovered from a book in the Knowledge Pavilion. A low, faint, warm sensation began to spread in the body of the silver-eyed youth, escaping his notice. A few days later, lecture hall, Instructor Fang Duan's lecture. Today, barked Instructor Fang Duan, we begin our study of spiritual attributes. Attributes are a profound aspect of cultivation that is affected by many aspects. Your bloodline, comprehension, environment, innate spiritual roots, and the cultivation technique you practice can all cause your neutral spirit qi to become attributed spiritual qi. He wrote on the board in bold strokes. There are 4 core basic elements. They can be comprehended by 95% of cultivators, or inherited directly through bloodlines. Fire, water, earth, wind. Hybrid elements, comprehended by 1 in 50,000. It requires a dual element spiritual root or greater. Ice equals water and wind, wood equals water plus earth. Lightning equals fire plus wind. Metal, also called gold, is a hybrid of fire plus earth plus wind. The students' eyes widened, and they began to imagine their future as powerful cultivators with mastery over their favorite element. A student asked suddenly, "Senior Duan, what elements do you have?" Instructor Fang Duan smiled. Suddenly, the natural energy in the lecture hall began to swirl, forming a sphere of half wind, qi, and half fire. "Dual elements!" the students in the lecture exclaimed in shock. "Wait, isn't wind and fire supposed to achieve lightning spiritual energy?" a scholarly student asked in confusion. Fang Duan nodded. "True, but having both elements doesn't automatically let one comprehend the method of combining them. I'm still currently trying to comprehend the lightning Tao. That's why I only possess wind and fire separately." Don't underestimate the importance of comprehension in the journey of cultivation. And the elements hardest to comprehend are ethereal elements. About 1 in 500 million can comprehend, but I heard only cultivators in the upper heavens have comprehended these ethereal attributes. The few warriors who can use these attributes usually have them through bloodline inheritance, not through natural comprehension. Void, also known as space. Time, also known as temporal. Once you are a spirit apprentice, we will test you for elemental affinity. Gasps echoed. The last 2 element types are so rare that they may as well be legends. But should you comprehend one, the heavens may fear you. Fang Duan's voice contained a rare tone of respect. Chen Kai's eyes gleamed with fiery ambition. Those are attributes fitting for a true genius, he thought inwardly. Fang Duan pointed to the poor drawing of a person. Most people are born with neutral qi. Your attributes can form through absorbing spiritual qi in specific environments, bloodlines, cultivation techniques, and your comprehension. Choose your attribute wisely. Changing your attribute later is nearly impossible. Suddenly, a student asked, "Senior Fang, how can someone have more than one attribute while others can only choose one?" "You'll find out once you inspect your spirit root." The kids were dazed in confusion. Duan sighed. "There's no point in understanding until you reach the spirit apprentice realm. We will discuss how you determine attribute compatibility in a later lecture." Cultivation realms in the Iron Kingdom. Body tempering, also known as refinement realm, spirit apprentice realm, spirit warrior realm, spirit lord realm, spirit master. Flight becomes possible. All realms have 9 minor levels before you can break through. Chapter 7. Demon Beast Trial. Instructor. Fang Duan's deep voice rumbled through the lecture hall like a drumbeat. "And with that, our lecture concludes. One last matter before you're dismissed." He scanned the room with sharp, discerning eyes. In 30 days, the Iron Root Martial School will host the annual Demon Beast Hunting Trial. A beat of silence followed, then murmurs spread like an anxious tide. Younger students shifted uneasily. A few turned pale. Whispers, "I've never fought a beast," and "We're not ready," rustled like dry leaves. Kong Tian stood quietly in the crowd, arms folded, his expression unchanging. Demon beasts? He'd been slaying mortal-class beasts since the age of 10, skinning them for meat and fur to feed his brother and uncle. This wasn't a threat. This was routine. Beside him, however, Kong Ming had gone pale. His hand trembled around the cane he leaned on. Though the boy said nothing, Kong Tian could feel the turmoil. Kong Ming had yet to reach even the first stage of body tempering. If the trial were held today, he wouldn't survive a single clash. Food Pavilion. That afternoon, the brothers ate together at the food pavilion. Though the area buzzed with other students, they sat in a quiet corner. "Kong Tian," Kong Ming said softly between bites, "I found something in the knowledge pavilion, a medicinal text. It mentioned herbs that might help. If I used them right, they could temper my bones and strengthen my meridians." Kong Tian's eyes lit up. "Seriously?" Kong Ming nodded. "They're rare, but not impossible to find. The weaker ones can be bought with some money." "We could try the bone refinement tonic." For a moment, hope lit Kong Tian's face. Then it dimmed. "We don't have the money," he said bluntly, setting down his bowl. "Not yet. You keep studying, little brother. I'll figure something out." He ruffled Kong Ming's hair and stood to leave. For the next few hours, Kong Tian ran errands, moving firewood, hauling grain, fixing fences. The coin he earned was meager, but honest. As he passed a narrow alley behind the bakery, he heard the unmistakable thud of fists hitting flesh. He turned without hesitation. 3 older kids were kicking a scrawny figure curled on the ground, rags clinging to his body, blood trickling from his lip. "Hey!" Kong Tian's voice cracked like a whip. The bullies sneered. "That's the brother of that cripple. Trash should know when to look the other way." The bully sneered. One of the older boys hesitated. He'd seen Kong Tian at the martial school entrance ceremony, ranked first among the younger generation, 9th-level body refinement, at 13. Before he could warn the others, Kong Tian had already moved, his kick slamming into one of their faces. "Run! We're not his match!" the boy shouted, picking up his unconscious friend and fleeing. The beaten boy coughed and looked up, eyes wide. You saved me?" Kong Tian crouched. "Why were they beating you?" I took stale bread from their trash," the boy muttered. "They said it was still theirs." "You were starving?" Kong Tian asked, frowning. The boy didn't answer, but his sunken cheeks and trembling limbs told the truth. Without another word, Kong Tian picked him up and brought him to a food stall. He spent some of his hard-earned coins on a warm meal. The boy devoured it like a starving dog, tears in his eyes. "Thank you. I'm Gubi," he said, bowing low. "I'm an orphan from the northern outskirts. My parents were killed hunting demon beasts when I was 8. I've been surviving on my own since." He looked up with pleading eyes. "Big brother, you're strong. Let me follow you." Kong Tian frowned. "Do you have any family?" Gubi shook his head, holding back tears. Then he dropped to his knees and kowtowed. "Please let me become your lackey. Every strong hero needs one. I can cook, clean, wash clothes, anything." Kong Tian stared at him. He reminded him so much of Kong Ming, skinny, sad, desperate, but with fire in his eyes. "Fine," he said at last, "but no stealing." Gubi's eyes sparkled with gratitude. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Kong Tian returned to the school. Kong Ming stood waiting near the gate. "Where's the harness?" Kong Tian asked. "I don't need it," Kong Ming said proudly, leaning on his cane. "I'll walk on my own." Kong Tian smiled. Beside him, Gubi bowed deeply. "Hello, big brother." Kong Ming blinked. "Big brother?" Gubi grinned. "I'm Gubi. I'm Brother Tian's lackey." Kong Ming looked at his brother in disbelief. "Lackey?" Kong Tian's lips twitched into a wry smile. Kong Courtyard. That night, at the old courtyard, Kong Tian hunted and returned with a small mortal-class beast. As he cleaned it, Gubi fetched water, scrubbed pots, and even patched the roof with mud. Later, under the stars, the three sat together. Kong Ming asked about Gubi's past. The boy spoke quietly of life on the streets, nights sleeping in carts, stealing to survive. Despite his frail frame and tattered clothes, his eyes still burned with will. Kong Ming saw a reflection of himself in those eyes. The next morning, the brothers awoke to find two luxurious black robes folded neatly outside their door. Kong Ming frowned. This could be a trap. What if someone planted these just to accuse us of stealing? No one in Iron Root would believe we got robes like these on our own. Kong Tian sniffed the fabric. High quality, expensive. "Leave them," he agreed. They wore their old clothes to school. As they arrived, a sharp voice rang out. "You two, why aren't you wearing what I left for you?" A sharply dressed young woman stood with arms crossed, glaring. Bai Yuyin stood just behind her, smirking. Kong Tian and Kong Ming were stunned. "You left those robes?" Kong Ming asked. "Of course I did," she snapped. "You're the top student of this class. Walking around like beggars reflects poorly on the entire school." Kong Tian blinked. "Are you always this blunt?" The girl ignored him. An older man in grey robes stepped forward and bowed. "Please forgive the young Miss's rough tone. I am Li Gu, steward of the Li household. This is Lady Li Chan, a guest of the Bai clan." She meant no disrespect. "Right," Kong Ming muttered. "Please consider the robes a gift," Li Gu added warmly. Kong Tian and Kong Ming exchanged glances, then shrugged. "Thanks, I guess," Kong Tian said. That evening, 29 days before the Demon Beast trial, Kong Ming revealed something new. "There are wild herbs in the Iron Forest, ones I need." Kong Tian nodded. "We'll go soon. I'm almost done saving for the bone refinement tonic recipe." Me and Gubi made a promise to help with wall repairs and lumber deliveries. "We'll be back by dinner time." Kong Ming nodded as he watched their departing figures. After confirming they left, he grabbed his cane and made his way to the training spot by the stream. Kong Ming has been making meaningful progress. His legs have always been the weakest part of his body, and before he began training, they couldn't even support his body weight for more than a few breaths. But now, he can walk about 30 steps with a stable, firm stance. But whenever he goes past 30 steps, the fatigue overwhelms him. He panted for air. His chest moved rapidly. He wiped the sweat off his forehead and fell on the ground. I can't wait to surprise Tian by walking beside him for the first time when we go to the forest. Bushes started to rumble. Who's there? Meanwhile, in Iron Root Town, shops and restaurants lit up the streets as the evening began to transition to night. Two boys can be seen running through the streets with packs of wood on their backs. As they continued their errands, Gubi and Kong Tian were stopped by two sneering youths. They each were wearing dark red sashes, members of the Yuan family. "Looking for someone?" one sneered. "Your brother's in trouble." Kong Tian's eyes narrowed. "What did you do?" "Come to the outskirts," they grinned, "or he gets hurt." The boys followed obediently. At the window of a restaurant, a gray silhouette can be seen observing the departing boys. At the edge of town, just before sunset, Kong Tian found Kong Ming tied to a tree, his cane tossed aside. Yuan Fei stood nearby, bruised from their last encounter. Beside him was a taller, broader youth, Yuan Jin. "So you think you're strong?" Yuan Jin said coldly. "Let's see how you do against a spirit apprentice." "Master Tian is not afraid of you bullies?" Gubi roared. Yuan Jin made a gesture to his lackeys, and they quickly restrained Gubi and covered his mouth. Kong Tian's expression darkened. Yuan Jin recently broke through to become a spirit apprentice, but his foundation isn't stable yet. If my combat standards are superior, I might have a chance. Kong Tian and Yuan Jin slowly entered a combat stance. The two silhouettes of Kong Tian and Yuan Jin lunged forward the next instant. The fight was brutal. Yuan Jin's strikes were fast, imbued with spiritual energy. Each blow stirred the air. Kong Tian's raw talent barely kept him on his feet. He was slower, but his brother's teachings came to mind. Don't watch hands or feet. Watch the shoulders and hips. This can help lower mistakes when fighting a faster opponent. Using that predictive technique, he dodged critical hits, suffering only superficial wounds. Yuan Jin's brow furrowed. Whoosh! A fast kick aimed at Kong Tian's section strikes at an instant. Kong Tian, using the prediction technique, was able to barely guard against it in time, being pushed back several meters by the blow. "Is dodging all you know?" Yuan Jin barked, humiliated. Even as a spirit apprentice, he couldn't land a solid blow on a brat 5 years younger. Yuan Fei was sweating, his nerves elevated. His brother is struggling, even after becoming a spirit apprentice? Kong Tian's eyes narrowed. He wiped blood from a gash on his cheek. He can draw in spiritual energy. I can't. Not yet. But if I strike where it matters. Whoosh! Yuan Jin lunged with a full-force punch. Now! Kong Tian dashed forward, seeming to take the bait, but then dropped low, sliding between Yuan Jin's legs and slamming a punch into the side of his knee. Yuan Jin grimaced. "You sneaky bastard." But Kong Ming could tell the blow did serious damage to Yuan Jin. My brother might not have the higher cultivation, but he's still a genius in combat. With his movement slowed, Yuan Jin became easier to evade and easier to counter. Yuan Fei's unease deepened. Kong Tian's taking damage too, but my brother is being pushed back. Kong Tian's technique was sharp, but his stamina was fading. Then, just as Yuan Jin threw another punch, "Ah!" Kong Ming cried out, seizing the moment. Yuan Fei had struck him in the face. "Kicha!" Yuan Jin's punch landed a moment later, square into Kong Tian. "You think you can worry about others while fighting me?" Yuan Jin sneered. Kong Tian spat blood. "I'll tell you what, every time I hit you, your brother gets a break, but if I land a blow, he takes one instead." Laughter from the Yuan lackeys followed. "Shameless." Kong Ming trembled, fists clenched until blood dripped from his palms. "Brother Tian, forget about me. Kill these bastards." Yuan Jin proceeded to beat Kong Tian to a bloody mess. Kong Ming cried out in hatred, just when Yuan Jin prepares to land a life-ending hit on Kong Tian. A blur of gray passed between them, blowing away Yuan Jin. Thud, thud, plop, plop. Yuan Jin's lackeys dropped, unconscious. Steward Gu stood tall, gaze cold. Enough. The Yuan brothers froze. "I don't enjoy interfering with the squabbles of the younger generation," he said, "but trash who kidnap defenseless children deserve exceptions." Yuan Jin trembled. "Senior, may I ask who you are?" Steward Gu glanced at the bloodied Kong Tian. "Who I am doesn't matter. What matters is this. Those two boys are under my protection. Do I make myself clear?" Yuanjin and his lackeys nodded like chickens plucking grain. "Now scram!" he shouted. They ran like aimless dogs into the forest. After cutting the ropes binding Kong Ming, Steward Gu vanished. Kong Tian, covered in wounds, struggled to get up. Gu Bi quickly ran over and wrapped Kong Tian's arm around his shoulder to help him stand. They slowly walked over and picked up Kong Ming's cane and handed it to him. Kong Ming's eyes were filled with many emotions: anger, guilt, and frustration. He silently stared at his brother's bloody and battered body, with his heart feeling like it's choking. Kong Tian gave a warm smile and said, "Don't worry, Minga. I'll always be here to protect you." That smile of reassurance from his brother was an arrow that sealed his shackles of guilt and spiraled Kong Ming into the depths of self-loathing. "Umem." Kong Ming nodded with a forced smile. The three boys walked home together without saying a word. That day, Kong Ming truly wished his brother had scolded him instead. But his constant, selfless sacrifice became a seed of torment in Kong Ming's heart. That night, in the old courtyard, Kong Tian lay on a straw bed, bruised and bandaged. Gu Bi helped Kong Ming clean his wounds. They had survived. With the coins earned, Gu Bi bought the herbs needed for the bone refinement tonic. "Are you sure it's safe?" Gu Bi asked nervously. "I'm already a cripple," Kong Ming said with a self-deprecating laugh. "What's the worst that could happen?" He drank the tonic from the ancient medicinal refinement record. His body twisted in agony, sweat pouring out, bones creaking. Then he passed out. An hour passed, then 2, then 3. His eyes opened. He gasped. He had reached body tempering, level 1. Kong Tian hugged him with a joyful cry, forgetting about his injuries, but Kong Ming winced. "Why do my meridians burn? 3 are open, but something feels off. I'd better not worry, Brother Tian," he thought inwardly. Far away in bustling Silver City, Lao Shenwu sipped tea in a quiet inn. Across from him sat a man in dark robes. "Kong Ming's condition isn't a curse," the man said calmly, "nor a mutation." Uncle Lao Shenwu's eyes narrowed. "Then what is it?" The man looked up. "His physique is sealed, a natural seal placed by heaven itself." Shenwu stiffened. "To stop his bloodline from awakening too soon," the man continued. "It's a self-preserving mechanism. Chains wrapped around a storm." Shenwu exhaled slowly. "I thought Kong Tian's physique was unstable, so I sealed it myself. But Kong Ming's case is worse." "Not worse," the man corrected. "More pure. You thought his bloodline was a mutation? It might be closer to the original, perhaps too pure. The seal is aggressive. It hinders his body's natural growth. But if someone with counter-seal expertise can place a stabilizing seal, not to remove it, but to buffer it, he could grow like a normal cultivator. Your nephew attempting to gain strength and temper his body is similar to trying to swim against a raging current. The effects of any effort he does would probably yield 10% of the intended results at most." Shenwu nodded solemnly. The cloaked man sighed. He stood up. "I owe their father, but this is the best I can do." He gazed at Uncle Lao with concern. "The Heaven Supremacy clan's hounds are still after you. Stay hidden." The cloaked man handed him a tattered slip of paper. "Go to a cabin near the eastern forest of the fifth heaven. There's someone there who might be able to help. But she has quirks, so try not to do anything to offend her." Shenwu rose and bowed. "This old man owes you." The man raised a hand. "No need. I believe those brothers are part of the prophecy. We must all play our part, or else darkness will return to the 7 heavens." Outside, thunder rumbled across distant skies. Chapter 8. Into the Iron Forest. The morning mist clung to the edges of Iron Root Town, veiling the wilderness beyond in a curtain of soft gray. Outside the worn gates of the town, the iron forest loomed, dense, ancient, and filled with quiet menace. Kong Tian adjusted the straps of the worn pack over his shoulder, glancing sideways at Kong Ming, who stood tall and unassisted. His gait was stiff but sure, a quiet testament to weeks of nightly suffering. "Still not used to seeing you upright," Kong Tian said with a grin, though worry still flickered in his eyes. "You sure about this?" Kong Ming tightened the knot on his sash, eyes focused. "We don't have time to waste. The herbs are deep in the forest, and the hunting trial is only 23 days away. If I can reach body-tempering 3rd stage by then—" He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. Kong Tian nodded and tightened the bindings on his fists. "All right, but we go at your pace." Gubi waved at the departing figures, like a wife sending her husbands to war. Inside the Iron Forest. The deeper they ventured, the thicker the foliage became. Shafts of light filtered through the canopy, dappling the forest floor in gold and shadow. Strange sounds echoed in the distance, calls of beasts, the rustling of brush, and occasionally the faint roar of something far larger. Kong Ming consulted the hand-drawn map he copied from the Knowledge Pavilion book. According to this, the mountain break lotus and blackroot vine should be near the Crimson Hollow. Crimson? What now? Kong Tian raised a brow. Kong Ming shrugged. Named after the blood-red moss that grows on the stone walls. It's near the base of that ridge. Just as they crossed a shallow stream, a rustle came from the tree line ahead. Kong Tian raised an arm instinctively, motioning his brother to step back. From the underbrush, a creature emerged. It was a horned boar, its eyes glowing faintly yellow. A mortal beast at the 8th stage. Kong Tian's expression sharpened. "First real fight since I unlocked my 36th meridian. Let's see how I do." The beast charged. Kong Tian sidestepped and unleashed a heavy palm strike to its shoulder. The beast shrieked and spun, tusks slashing the air. From behind a tree, Kong Ming shouted, "Hit the left hind leg! That breed has a joint weakness there." Following his brother's advice, Kong Tian landed a precise kick behind the boar's flank, followed by a strike to the head. The beast crashed to the ground, motionless. He exhaled, sweat glistening. "I'm getting rusty." "You won in under 10 moves, Kong Ming said, breathless. "That's not rusty." Kong Tian grinned. "You've really been studying up, huh?" They pressed on. Meanwhile, back at the martial school, Lady Bai Yuyin stood atop the martial platform, practicing a delicate sword form that wove ribbons of wind qi around her. Her movements were elegant, almost like a dance. She paused when she felt someone approaching. "You're distracted," said Lady Chan Chan, now wearing a bright lavender robe with golden embroidery. "I'm thinking about the Kong brothers. They weren't in class again," Bai Yuyin replied. Lady Chan Chan huffed. "They probably ran off to do dirty things again, like digging roots or wrestling chickens. Or gathering herbs to save a life," Bai Yuyin said sharply. Lady Chan Chan blinked, caught off guard. Bai Yuyin smirked slightly. "Don't underestimate them. Even the smallest roots can split stone over time." Back in the forest. By midday, Kong Ming finally spotted the cluster of blackroot vines growing near a large stone outcrop coated in crimson moss. He stumbled toward it, gasping. "These should help cleanse meridian clots and promote qi flow," he murmured, beginning to carefully harvest them with a small knife. Kong Tian stayed alert, scanning the woods. "Grab what you need fast. This place feels wrong." A low growl echoed from behind. Turning sharply, they saw a second spirit beast emerge, sleek, feline, and with twin tails flicking like whips, a shadow-tailed panther, spirit grade level 1. Kong Ming's heart skipped a beat. "We can't fight that!" Kong Tian's eyes narrowed. "No, but I can stall it." He threw down his pack, stepping forward. "Get the herbs. Hide if you have to. I'll lead it away." Before Kong Ming could object, Kong Tian roared and charged, drawing the beast's attention. It lunged with terrifying speed. Kong Tian twisted mid-dash, avoiding the claws by inches. His body was covered in small gashes already, but he kept moving, baiting it away. The beast snarled and leapt after him, vanishing into the trees. Kong Ming's eyes turned moist with concern. "Why is that idiot obsessed with throwing himself in danger for others?" he shouted inwardly. Kong Ming knelt behind a fallen log, clutching the herbs tightly, heart pounding. "Please be okay. I don't need these stupid herbs if it means I don't have my brother." An hour later, Kong Tian limped back, covered in cuts, bruises, and sweat. His clothes were torn, and his fists were bloodied. Kong Ming ran to him, relief and anger breaking across his face. "You're insane!" "Still alive, though," Kong Tian grinned through swollen lips. With herbs in hand, they made their slow way home beneath the dying light of day. That night, back at the Kong courtyard, Kong Ming carefully prepared a tonic from the rare herbs, following the instructions word for word from the ancient medicinal refinement record. Gu Bi focused on bandaging Kong Tian's injuries. Kong Tian leaned back against the wooden wall, wincing. "You sure this won't kill you?" "Nope," Kong Ming said, drinking it anyway. Gu Bi sighed. "Why does this seem familiar?" His body shuddered. Sweat poured down his face. Veins bulged as he fell to his knees, gritting his teeth. After 4 long minutes, the pain became unbearable. Then it began to fade. He took a deep breath and stood up, looking at his palms. Kong Tian stared, wide-eyed. "You!" "I can feel it," Kong Ming whispered. "My physical qi. It's faint, but it's there." He had stepped into the second stage of body tempering, but the pain in his meridians persisted. Kong Tian laughed aloud, full and proud. "You did it, Ming." Kong Ming nodded in satisfaction. "According to the book, it should have been able to unlock 9 of my meridians, but only 6 are open. If 9 opened, I would be in the 3rd stage of body refinement." The book recommended waiting at least 2 weeks of physical tempering before forcing another breakthrough on my body. Kong Tian pondered. "Your strength, relative to your cultivation level, is low. Extremely low. I think you should focus on building up your muscle strength and physical endurance before seeking further external support." Kong Ming sighed. "Even though I unlocked my meridians, I'm starting on a foundation of straw compared to others. Just simply walking a few kilometers is enough to exhaust me. Brother, can you pass me the Profound Fist Training Manual?" Kong Tian reached for a shelf where there was a silver and black book, and he tossed it over to Kong Ming. Kong Ming awkwardly caught the book and began to examine it. The cover was black and had words in silver ink. Profound Fist Art. There were 4 levels, and each level had words and diagrams of movements for demonstration. He was familiar with the first 2 levels from watching his brother, but he didn't know about the physical training requirements needed before being able to use the technique. Jump 4 meters. Lift 200 kilograms. Achieve 100 kilogram punching force. Movement speed must exceed 11 seconds per 100 meters. It seems I will be doing the basic strengthening routine for a while before I can begin any practical movements of the fist art. Kong Ming sighed. Then his eyes refocused with determination. Kong Tian smiled. "Don't forget you were barely able to walk a month ago. This is amazing progress, Minger." The brother went to bed, and the sounds of Gooby snoring filled the courtyard. Outside, the stars shimmered in the quiet night sky. But elsewhere, far beyond the town, a black-robed cultivator stood atop a cliff, watching the town with narrowed eyes. "So, he's begun to awaken," the figure muttered, before vanishing into the mist. Chapter 9. The Chen Clan's Scheme. The morning sun spilled over Iron Root Town, casting golden hues across the rooftops. In a shabby courtyard nestled on the outskirts, two silhouettes moved in rhythm beneath the sky's warm gaze. Kong Tian grunted softly as he moved through a demanding sequence, his bare torso slick with sweat, muscles straining as he struck the training dummy with precision and power. Each movement flowed: palm, elbow, knee, pivot, strike. Beside him, Kong Ming and Gubi followed a gentler routine. The two performed breathing exercises and basic stances meant to build endurance and stimulate blood flow. Kong Ming's movements were shaky but improving. Gubi lacked stability, but his eyes gleamed with quiet determination. Kong Tian slowed and wiped his brow. "Steady your hips, Gubi. You're leaning too far forward." Right, Gubi said, adjusting his stance. "I feel like I'm getting the hang of it," Kong Ming said, with a small smile, sweat dripping from his temple. "I can feel the blood moving faster when I exhale." "Keep at it," Kong Tian nodded. "Foundation is everything." After the workout, the trio made their way to a nearby stream to wash up. The cool water felt like heaven against their sore muscles. Kong Ming stepped out of the water first, shaking droplets from his hair. His frail body was no longer deathly pale. His skin now had a rosy color that reflected the progress he had made over the past month. He reached into a satchel and pulled out a folded black robe, the luxurious garment gifted by Li Chan. As he began to dry off with it, Kong Tian's eyes widened. "You're actually wearing that?" he asked. "Are we really going to wear those robes?" he repeated in hesitation. Kong Ming raised a brow. "They're clean, and they're not stolen. Why not?" "I don't know," Kong Tian muttered. "They're flashy." "I see," Kong Ming pondered. "But so is bleeding in public," Kong Ming smirked. "And you've never complained about that." Iron Root Martial School buzzed with the usual pre-lesson chatter, students sparring, joking, and comparing techniques. Then a hush fell over the training ground as two figures entered, wearing sleek black robes embroidered with silver thread. Whispers rose like wind through the grass. "Wait, is that Kong Ming? He's walking on his own." "Are those the same street kids? They look like disciples from a mid-tier sect." "Is that Kong Tian? He's actually kinda handsome." "He always was. You just couldn't tell through the dirt and anger." A few girls flushed. Others stared at Kong Ming in disbelief. "No way! That's the cripple? What happened to the cane?" "He must have taken a miracle pill or something." Kong Tian ignored the chatter as they passed through the crowd. Gubi followed close behind, wide-eyed and proud. From the side path, two noble girls approached. Lady Bai Yuyin walked with her usual grace, arms folded and a faint smirk on her lips. Beside her, Li Chan beamed, as if her plan had gone exactly as expected. "Well, well," Yuyin said smoothly. "You two no longer look like you slept under a bridge." Chan nodded proudly. "Those robes really do make you look 10 years more civilized. You should repay me. How about calling me Big Sister from now on?" Kong Tian and Kong Ming exchanged a wry glance. "Thank you for the clothes." "Lady Chan, Kong Ming said politely. "Yes," Kong Tian added, keeping his tone formal. "We're grateful." Chan pouted, hands on her hips. "So formal. You two are no fun." Yu Yin raised a brow, looking at the brothers with a hint of seriousness. "The monster hunt exam is approaching fast. I assume you're both preparing?" "We are," Kong Tian said. "We'll be ready." Before more could be said, a sharp voice interrupted. "Humph! What's with this crowd?" A youth approached, arms crossed, face twisted in disdain. Fang Zhu. Handsome in a smug way, he wore a light blue robe bearing the Fang clan insignia, ranked 5th in the divine totem test, a rising talent, and a jealous boy seething at the sight of Bai Yuyin speaking to someone other than Lady Chan Chan. "I didn't expect these two to show their faces so soon," Fang Zhu sneered, "wearing robes they didn't earn and pretending they belong." Kong Ming opened his mouth to respond, but another voice beat him to it, calm and mocking. "Jealousy doesn't suit you, Fang Zhu. It creases your brow and twists your tongue." The crowd parted as Chen Kai stepped into view, hands behind his back, posture elegant. His noble robe shimmered faintly, and his gaze lingered on Fang Zhu like one might eye a fly on a meal. Fang Zhu scowled. "This has nothing to do with you, Chen Kai." "Oh, I disagree," Chen Kai said lazily. "I find barking hard to ignore." "You act high and mighty," Fang Zhu snapped. "But don't forget, my brother, Fang Longwei broke through to the 5th stage of the spirit apprentice realm before his 15th birthday. And you, still stuck in body tempering?" Chen Kai's smile didn't falter. He turned slightly, as though Fang Zhu weren't even worth facing fully. "At 12, your brother was only at the 8th stage of body tempering. I already reached 8th level," he said. "I'll likely reach the 9th level before my 13th birthday. So, if we're comparing, who's truly the genius here? By 15, I'll surpass him, maybe even more." Fang Zhu's face darkened, but Chen Kai had already looked away. Lady Bai's smirk widened. Kong Tian glanced at Chen Kai, a flicker of battle intent in his eyes. Later that day, Kong Ming sat quietly in the knowledge pavilion, surrounded by dusty scrolls and aged books. His eyes scanned page after page, desperately searching for any clue about the burning pain in his meridians. Nothing matched. Most records described breakthroughs as smooth, even euphoric. But he has been agony. There was no mention of backlash from the basic medicines he had taken. "What's wrong with me?" He sighed, flipping another page. Then a scroll caught his eye, an old manual meant for rebuilding the strength of cultivators recovering from illness. The exercises were basic, embarrassingly so. But he traced a finger across the faded text. "For bodies unready to hold their own strength." It fit him far too well. "I'll start with this," he muttered, as Kong Ming sat down and began to immerse himself in the book. A scholarly youth approached. He had orange robes with white thread embroidered along the edges and the emblem of the Chen clan. It was Chen Kai, the top genius of the Chen clan. "I saw you in the hall. You're able to walk. Does that mean you decided to embrace the struggle?" Kong Ming nodded. "Good," Chen Kai said in a resolute tone. "Your brother isn't the only one I'm itching to fight. I look forward to your growth in the future. Don't disappoint me." He continued to walk to the bookshelves deeper in the knowledge pavilion. Later that day, in the main training hall, 10 students stood in a semicircle, those who had placed highest in the physical exam. Instructor Fang Duan stood before them, arms crossed, his gaze like tempered steel. Wind rippled through his gray robes. He extended one hand. "You will attack me, one at a time," he said. "Use your full strength. Hold nothing back." A few students hesitated. "You're not here to be pampered," Fang Duan continued. "I'll only offer pointers if you show effort worth correcting." One by one, the students attacked. And one by one, he deflected their strikes with minimal effort, correcting a flaw, adjusting a stance, or pointing out a weakness. "Bai Yuyin, you're too focused on keeping perfect form. It makes your attacks lose combat effectiveness." She cupped her hand and retreated back to her position in the circle. Fang Duan sighed. "Next is my spoiled nephew, Fang Zhu. Step on the platform," he barked. Startled, Fang Zhu nervously stepped forward and proceeded to make a battle stance. Fang Duan shook his head in disappointment. "Are you just going to stand there, or attack?" Fang Zhu proceeded to attack. His form was poor, Strength behind his strikes was poor. The only redeeming quality this spoiled noble child had was his gift for avoiding strikes. Ju, you need to take your studies in martial Tao seriously. You're too distracted by your lustful mind and baseless pride. This is why the Fang family will decline. Next, a scholarly youth in an orange robe approached. He cupped his hands. Forgive the offense, senior, and immediately moved. Fang Duan didn't use any of his cultivation when sparring with the children, only relying on his naturally tempered physique. Fang Duan's eyes narrowed. This Chen Kai's brat's moves had a rhythmic flow. Each strike acted as a setup for the next strike, as if preparing for an opportunity to land the real blow. Fang Duan thought inwardly. But, sadly, the martial art he studied is too restrictive to allow his real talent to show. As Chen Kai was about to continue, Fang Duan casually pushed him back using repellent force. That's enough, Disciple Chen, he said sternly. Your movements are good. You understand that martial arts is not to be mindlessly copied, but it's there to be comprehended. I can tell you that you improved the original martial technique of the silent fist. You made it more useful in multiple situations. Your mistakes come from choosing a martial art that limits your capabilities. Once you join a 5-star sect or higher, you'll be able to find fitting martial techniques that matches your talent. This was the first time Instructor Duan praised someone so directly. Chen Kai cupped his fist, face neutral, and returned to his position in the circle. Kong Tian's turn came last. He moved like thunder. Fang Duan blocked with a single palm. You rely too much on brute force. Learn when to release tension. I can tell from your fighting style you're not used to fighting an opponent with superior combat standards. You mustn't get lazy in your training. The martial world is full of crouching tigers and hidden dragons. Don't fool yourself simply because you never left your cave. Kong Tian nodded, teeth clenched. After the session, students began to disperse. But then, you there, Blackie, stay behind. Kong Tian froze. Blackie? His jet-black eyes, silver-streaked black hair, and matching robe gave him an almost imposing yet ethereal look. He resembled a handsome death reaper, cloaked in moonlight. Fang Duan's voice was neither warm nor cold. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Being talented is good, but it draws the greedy eyes of the older generation. You mustn't become arrogant from being the strongest student in a tiny martial school. Have any of the great families approached you? Kong Tian shook his head. Fang Duan snorted. So, those old foxes did take my warning seriously. He stepped forward, placing a large hand on Kong Tian's shoulder, making the boy's tall frame seem like a child's by comparison. I know your brother is everything to you, Fang Duan said, but protecting him means having the strength to do so. There is always someone stronger, young man, and your strength is far from enough. His aura flared, pressing down like a mountain. And yet, he muttered. The aura faded. My arrogance once cost me my wife and almost my son. I was blind to the schemes of my own clan. He sighed. I was the strongest genius of my generation, but failed to protect my own family. I have no doubt you'll enter the cloud-seeking sect, but once you're there, find a strong backer. Choose wisely. I've asked my son, Fang Longwei, to look out for you, until you become the disciple of a righteous elder. Kong Tian's eyes widened. He cupped his hands. This junior thanks senior for his kindness. Kong Ming, watching from the side, bowed deeply. So behind that hardened shell, he's a thoughtful person, Kong Ming thought inwardly. And yet, he has a conflict with his clan? Chen clan residents. Inside a marble hall, elders debated heatedly. The demon beast hunting trial is near, a voice bellowed in anxiety. We can't let a peasant disgrace the great families. Another old man shouted, his growth threatens our Chen clan's position in the cloud-seeking sect recruitment. The elders continue to argue with each other. Bang! The armrest of a chair in the center hall shattered. Enough! Silence fell. The wind outside rustled through the leaves. At the head of the table sat Chen Wei, a red-haired, sword-browed, middle-aged man radiating dominance. "Have any of you even tried recruiting the boy into our clan?" he asked. Silence. Absolute silence. A skinny-faced elder swallowed. We didn't dare. Head Instructor Fang is keeping tabs on all the students." "Head Instructor Fang?" Chen Wei scoffed. "I doubt he'd object to a righteous offer." The elders smiled wryly. "Are all of you only good at scheming and stealing what isn't yours?" Chen Wei sighed. "Do we have any young beauties his age? It's best to use honey before the stick." "Ah," the elders echoed in realization. "Wise, Lord Chen, very wise." The elders nodded, like chickens pecking grain. A calm voice rang out. "What if it doesn't work?" All eyes turned to Chen Zetian, father of the young genius, Chen Kai. Chen Wei grinned coldly. "Then the Chen clan will offer the stick." The elders' meeting ended, and the Chen clan patriarch proceeded to his family quarters. As he approached the room, a servant carrying tea approached. The servant bowed respectfully, while keeping the surface of the tea free of the slightest ripple. "Patriarch Chen, I was bringing the young miss her medicine and her usual snacks." Chen Wei nodded. He extended his hands and received the tray of tea and food from the servant. "I'll take it from here," he said in a tone of non-negotiation. The servant bowed and took her leave. The patriarch slowly opened the door to the room and walked in quietly. "Princess, Daddy's here with your medicine." In the luxurious room filled with paintings and books, a young pale girl can be seen lying in her bed. "Daddy!" The girl beamed a bright smile. Her sickly face became slightly rosy. Chen Wei knelt by the young girl's bedside with her medicine and tea. "How is Daddy's favorite fairy?" "Bored," the girl said, puffing her cheeks. "When can I leave these quarters?" she asked her dad impatiently. Chen Wei's eyes carried a hint of sorrow. "Soon, Daddy needs to get the medicine to cure your condition. After that, Daddy will take you all around the kingdom, and you can eat and buy whatever you want." The girl pouted. "Daddy's been saying that for months, and cough, cough, Chen Lishi." Chen Wei panicked as his daughter began to cough up blood. "Don't worry, Lishi. As long as the Chen family is able to be the top recruit in the cloud-seeking sect, Daddy will be able to get the medicine to cure your condition. And I won't let any disciple stop the Chen family from being next year's top disciple." Chen Wei's eyes gleamed with a cold light. Meanwhile, at the Iron Root School. Food Pavilion. The Kong brothers and Gubi sat at their usual secluded table, eating school-prepared meals. Gubi looked around nervously. "Are you sure it's okay for me to be here?" Kong Tian laughed. "Relax. I registered you as our personal attendant. No one will give the school's star prodigy servant trouble." He patted Gubi's back. "Enjoy your food." Between bites, Kong Tian asked, "How's your training coming, Minga?" "Slow, too slow," Kong Ming admitted. "The exam is weeks away. I doubt I'm stronger than a first-stage mortal beast. But I found a strength training method today in the Knowledge Pavilion that suits my level." "Oh, really?" Gubi's eyes lit up. "Let's study it together." "My muscle development's about the same," Gubi said, flexing his tiny arms. Kong Tian stood up. "Then it's settled. We'll skip lectures and train your bodies for the next 2 weeks." Just then, a girl approached the table. She had a shy yet alluring charm to her slightly rosy face. Her skin smooth as jade, her eyes pools of celestial honey reflecting the sun, with long brown hair draped elegantly down her back. Aren't you Kong Tian?" She had soft red hair and an innocent charm, her cheeks flushed with shyness. "I'm Chen Ning," she said. "I was wondering if Big Brother Tian would give me some pointers." Kong Tian didn't blink. "Sorry, I'm busy." His tone was neutral, like speaking to a rock on the road. Chen Ning's lips twitched, but she bowed politely. Then I won't trouble you further. As she walked off, Gubi sighed. Big brother, that was cold. Cold? Kong Tian scoffed. You're 10 years old. What do you know about women? In the distance, several students dressed in luxurious white robes sat at a table in the food pavilion. A beautiful girl wearing a bright blue and white dress can be seen. This girl was Bai Yuyin. She silently gazed off into the distance, looking towards the table of the Kong brothers. Sister Yuyin, what's wrong? A white-robed male youth asked. His robe carried the symbol of the Bai clan. She glanced at the youth, then said, I believe the Chen clan's Chen Ning is trying to lure this year's top genius into the Chen clan. The youth was confused. Top genius? The Bai clan youth were from a senior class, and he didn't pay much attention to the juniors. Kong Tian, Bai Yuyin replied. The youth looked at Chen Ning's departing figure with clear lust in his eyes. I don't think any man would refuse the Chen clan if it means junior sister Ning will become your woman. Bai Yuyin's eyes rolled. She glanced at Kong Tian's face of indifference and smiled. I wouldn't be so sure. Later that day, Kong Brothers' courtyard. Listen up, Kong Tian mimicked Instructor Fang's voice. We have 2 weeks to turn you brats into beast slayers. He pointed to 5 boulders placed in the yard. Your goal is to lift at least the 3rd one by exam day. First rock, 50 kilograms. Second rock, 150 kilograms. Third rock, 300 kilograms. Fourth rock, 400 kilograms. Fifth rock, 500 kilograms. Each boulder was larger than the previous. Each opened meridian adds roughly 50 kilograms of strength, he explained. I've opened all 36. I'm at the peak of this realm. Each morning, attempt the first boulder. You cannot progress to the next boulder until you can lift it overhead. While you train, I'll be meditating to sense spiritual ki. I'm going to attempt a breakthrough. He looked at them solemnly. In this world, peace is a privilege of the strong. Love is a privilege of the strong. Even food requires strength in this world. Gu Bi's heart trembled. Not long ago he was starving, too poor and too weak to hunt. Kong Tian took a deep breath. Will you eat or be eaten? Eat! Gu Bi and Kong Ming shouted in unison. Kong Tian smirked, dropping the act. Dismissed! Kong Ming was full of motivation. In 2 weeks, I'll transform this body. Chapter 10. Were boulders always this heavy? 2 days had passed since they began their secluded training camp. The courtyard echoed with the steady thuds of fists striking wood and stone. Gu Bi grunted as he pushed against the 50-kilogram training boulder, his small frame shaking from the strain. Come on, just a little more. It shifted an inch. Good, Kong Tian said from where he sat cross-legged, eyes half open. Better than yesterday. Gu Bi collapsed onto his back, panting heavily. Better? My bones are screaming. Kong Ming chuckled, his sleeves rolled up as he followed through on a sequence of stances from the recovery manual he'd taken from the knowledge pavilion. His movements were smoother than before, but every step was calculated, every shift deliberate. I've only just managed to hold my form steady for 10 minutes, he said, shaking his arms out. Even Gu Bi is ahead of me now. Gu Bi sat up quickly. That's only because I have a thicker frame. You're still recovering, Brother Ming. I wouldn't even be here without you two. Kong Ming offered a weak smile. That's not what bothers me. It's my body. It feels like it resists improvement, like I'm dragging myself uphill with my arms tied behind my back. Kong Tian stood and walked over, placing a hand on his younger brother's shoulder. Progress isn't always a sprint. Sometimes surviving the hill is the victory. Gu Bi nodded. And, hey, I still trip over my own feet every third punch, so don't go handing me any titles just yet. They laughed, tired, but together. While Kong Ming and Gu Bi took a break and washed up in the stream, Kong Tian entered the early part of the woods to hunt mortal-ranked demon beasts. As he was walking along the path, a grey-robed old man appeared in front of him. Startled, Kong Tian clumsily jumped back. "Steward Gu?" Steward Gu, the attendant of Li Chan Chan, the man whose face was covered by the brim of his straw hat, revealed a kind and amiable face. "I didn't mean to startle you, young man. Are you okay?" Kong Tian nodded, his guard still tense. Steward Gu chuckled. "If I wanted to harm you, do you really think I would go through all this trouble, given my strength?" Kong Tian paused and realized the foolishness of his reaction. His cautiousness resembled an ant trying to block the attack of a tiger. "I came here because I've taken a liking to you and your brother, and find you two interesting." He handed Kong Tian a silk pouch filled with pills. Kong Tian's brows furrowed. "Senior, what kind of pills are these?" Steward Gu chuckled. "This boy knows absolutely nothing outside of the martial Tao," he thought inwardly. "They're spirit-grade body recovery pills and meridian cleansing pills." Kong Tian's hands trembled, almost dropping the silk pouch filled with expensive pills. "Spirit-grade recovery pills? I can't accept such an expensive gift." Kong Tian already felt guilty accepting the robes from Li Chan Chan. He was also saved by Senior Gu during the fight with the Yuan brothers. He didn't want to be indebted to them any further. He was a firm believer that there is no free lunch in this world. Attendant Gu chuckled. "This old man would like you to do a task for me in return." He understood Kong Tian's personality and knew he would feel more comfortable exchanging these pills for something in return. "I owe Senior a life-saving grace. Name it, and this young Kong will do his utmost." Senior Gu smiled in approval. "I want you to become my little Mrs. Friend." He sighed. "Due to my little Mrs.'s unfathomable background, she hasn't had many opportunities to form pure relationships that weren't based around special interests. I've been watching you young men since the entrance ceremony. I can see that you and your brother aren't blinded by greed, power, or wealth. In this world, power is everything, but the higher you climb, the lonelier it feels. That's why I'm asking you brothers to look after the little miss when possible. Don't worry, I'm not asking you to become her bodyguard or anything of that nature. And if my little miss gives you too much trouble, I'll free you from this agreement." "So, what do you say?" Kong Tian pondered for a moment. "I don't think it's right to be paid to be someone's friend. I don't think your little miss is a bad person, so we won't reject her if she's open to being friends. So, Senior, let's make a different agreement." Steward Gu was silent. He was truly impressed by Kong Tian's upright character. "How about helping this old man run an errand?" Kong Tian nodded. Senior Gu chuckled. "I haven't even told you what it was yet." He reached into his sleeve and handed him a sealed letter. "I want you to deliver this letter to the cloud-seeking sect leader. If you manage that, consider the debt repaid." Kong Tian received the letter and bowed politely as he bid the old man farewell. As he departed, the old man reminded him, "Make sure to give those medicinal pills to your brother before the demon beast trial." Kong Tian nodded in response and continued his hunt for food for the night. 1 hour later, Kong Tian returned to the courtyard with a twin-tailed eagle rabbit and some herbs to use in a stew. Gu Bi's eyes sparkled. "We're having a rabbit tonight." Ever since meeting the Kong brothers, his life felt like a dream, filled with warmth and laughter. The lonely nights he once lived, sleeping alone on abandoned carts with an empty stomach, were slowly becoming distant memories. Kong Tian prepared the stew and secretly placed 2 body recovery pills into the pot. It's better that those two don't know about the medicine from Senior Gu. There's no point in all of us feeling indebted to the Li clan, he thought inwardly. For the next several days, the courtyard became a world of its own. While the Iron Root Martial School resumed its teachings and gossip, the Kong brothers and Gu Bi vanished from public view. They skipped every lesson. They attended no lectures, made no appearances on the sparring fields. Head instructor Fang Duan permitted their leave of absence, but the other students weren't aware. Fang Duan sat at his desk, stacked with scrolls. He was writing a letter with the name Fang Longwei written at the top. He wondered how those Kong brats were progressing. Sometimes there are more important things to do than listening to lectures. Instead, they trained from sunrise to moonrise. Kong Tian's regimen was brutal, lifting boulders, striking reinforced poles until his knuckles bled, running uphill with Gu Bi following. Gu Bi, surprisingly, kept pace. His arms and legs thickened and his coordination sharpened. Kong Ming, however, struggled. He woke each day with sore joints and barely enough energy to complete his routines. The exercises designed for recovery helped, but progress was slow, painful, frustrating. "I can't even lift the first boulder off the ground," he muttered one morning, sweat dripping from his brow. Gu Bi trotted past with a cheerful grin, a 150-kilogram boulder balanced across his shoulders. "Need help, Brother Ming?" "Only if you can carry my pride, too." Kong Tian looked on in silence, watching his brother grit his teeth and continue. "Minger, take this." He tossed him a small pill. Kong Ming caught it. "What's this?" "A present. Your birthday's in a month, right? Consider this an early gift." Kong Tian hoped the body recovery pills he slipped into the food would help, but Gu Bi seemed to be the only one progressing by leaps and bounds. Maybe the source of Minger's stubborn development lies in his meridians. Kong Ming looked at the pill with curiosity. How did Big Brother obtain such a valuable-looking medicine? Kong Tian shrugged his shoulders. Kong Ming swallowed it. Instantly, a cool feeling overcame his body. He no longer felt the constant burning and aching pain in his joints and meridians, but instead felt a refreshed sensation. My meridians. "They're not hurting," he shouted inwardly in surprise. Ever since he broke through to the body-tempering realm a few weeks ago, there hadn't been a moment when he wasn't in pain. But today, he finally felt the physical keenness that a true body-tempering cultivator should feel emanating from his body. Kong Ming clenched his fist with newfound strength, the strong grip sensation foreign to him. "Maybe I can finally lift that first boulder," he pondered. He then shook his head. "I should continue with the basics for now." Evening, by the courtyard fire. Kong Tian had been slipping recovery pills into every meal since that day. The three boys sat around the fire, eating salted meat with roasted roots. The flames danced, casting shadows on their sweat-slick faces. "Any luck sensing spiritual ki?" Kong Ming asked quietly. Kong Tian shook his head. "Not even a flicker." Gu Bi frowned. "I thought once you finished tempering your body, it just happened." "So did I," Kong Tian admitted, staring at his clenched fist. "But something's off. Either I'm missing something, or the heavens are just laughing at me." "Maybe you need to do something different," Gu Bi said, "like meditating under a waterfall or fighting a spirit beast. Or drink celestial dew off a plum tree during moonrise," Kong Ming added dryly. Gu Bi grinned. "Hey, that sounds poetic." Kong Tian gave a rare smile. "I'll consider it." The next day, Iron Root Martial School, main courtyard. Though the Kong brothers had been absent for nearly 10 days, they were far from forgotten. Whispers floated through the school corridors. "They've gone into seclusion. I heard Kong Tian's trying to open a hidden meridian." Or maybe they ran off after offending someone important. Amid the rumors, Fangju stood near the training grounds, arms crossed, watching two students spar sloppily. "Tch, trash," he muttered. Behind him, a fellow Fang clan member approached. "Still thinking about her?" Fangju scowled. "She hasn't looked at me in over a week, not once." "You know she's still talking to that Chan-Chan girl. Maybe the nobles—" "It's not Chan-Chan," Fangju snapped. "It's him, that Mut Kong Tian." Fangju's lips curled. "I already informed the elders of the threat Kong Tian's presence brings." The other youth hesitated. "Shouldn't we let it go?" Instructor Fang Duan's watching them closely. "Then we won't touch them. There's nothing stopping us from hitting a target with a stranger's arrow. He turned toward the path leading to the practice yard. Street rats will always be rats, no matter how well you dress them. I'll remind them of their place soon. Day 12. Kong Residence Training Ground. Gooby stood, panting, in front of the fourth boulder. He hadn't lifted it, but he had made it move, only slightly. Barely a shift. But it was something. Kong Tian's eyes lit with approval. At this rate, you'll match a third-stage beast in pure muscle. Your cultivation may lag, but your strength won't. Those pills made such progress for Gooby after a few days. Perhaps those pills weren't simply spirit grade, but higher. Gooby scratched his head, smiling shyly. I'm just trying to be useful. I'm not a genius like you two. Kong Ming laughed weakly from where he was lying on his back, covered in sweat. Speak for yourself. I'd trade this body for a sack of potatoes and a good night's sleep. You can't lift a sack of potatoes, Gooby pointed out. Exactly, Kong Tian chuckled. Minga, your progress is slower, but it's real. Your body is healing. That's the most important thing. Kong Ming stared at the sky. Brother, my body has been feeling strange since you gave me that pill. Kong Tian's eyebrows rose. Strange? How so? Kong Ming shrugged. I can't describe it very well. My body feels lighter and I recover a lot faster. I even feel meaningful amounts of strength in my legs. Kong Tian smiled. That's great. Maybe you should try running. It's a great way to improve stamina. I haven't seen you run since you were 3 years old. Memories surfaced in Tian's head. It was a time when Kong Tian and Kong Ming were young, and they often ran and played together in the large palace halls. During those days, smiles and laughter were an hourly occurrence. He sighed. He felt sadness and nostalgia. Those simple childhood experiences were more precious than he could imagine. He never thought during those days that he would possibly never be able to run and play with his brother for the rest of his life. Kong Ming's eyes widened. Despite being able to walk, he never had the strength and balance to run, up until now. But my legs have stopped wobbling in recent days. After 3 hours of exercise, my body should be able to handle running, right? He thought inwardly. Kong Ming had never run before. Due to his frail body, a simple fall often led to a broken bone or worse. Even though his body has been strengthening, his mind was still in the same place. In his head, he was still the bedridden boy who could barely get out of bed or fall without breaking a bone. He stood up straight and began walking, his steps firm. His pace increased. Slow jog, fast jog, running, sprinting. Kong Tian's eyes widened in disbelief. His stoic demeanor fell apart as tears began to stream down his cheeks. He had pushed himself for so long, trying his best to be the pillar of support for his younger brother. He never displayed an ounce of concern or vulnerability, but today, that iron door, which held back years of self-sacrifice, opened the floodgates of emotion. Uncle Lao. If only you could see this right now. Kong Ming was too immersed in the sensation of running along the stream to notice his older brother's tear-ridden face. Gooby noticed Kong Tian's moment of vulnerability and remained silent. Kong Tian had a large, tall, muscular build and a strong outward persona, but he was still a 13-year-old boy after all. It was easy to forget that based on his appearance. Chen Clan Estate, Secret Chamber. Chen Wei reviewed several scrolls at his desk when a servant entered with a respectful bow. My lord, word has it the Kong brothers are skipping school. Rumors suggest they're training in private. Chen Wei didn't look up. As expected. Has the honey worked? No response to Chen Ning's approach, my lord. As I thought. Then it's almost time for the stick. He turned toward a candle-lit map of iron roots surrounding forest. Let's see how long the tiger cub lasts once you throw him into a pit of wolves. Final day. before the trial, Kong residence. The courtyard was still. The air smelled of sweat, blood, and burnt herbs. Kong Tian knelt in the center, hands resting on his knees. His breath slowed. Then a faint ripple. His eyes opened. Kong Ming looked up from his scroll. "Did you?" Kong Tian nodded slowly. "I broke through to the spirit apprentice realm." Gubi perked up. "Chi?" Kong Tian nodded again. Gubi jumped in excitement. Kong Tian smiled wryly. He stood, his body relaxed. His muscles, once stiff with tension, now felt light, ready. "Tomorrow's the trial," he said. "And no matter what happens, we won't be left behind."